It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, it's always my buddy, my close pal, the man, the plan, the one, and only John Meleka. But before we ask John how he's doing, y'all know the drill. If you listen to this podcast and you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. We're also partnered with Minute Media and Fansided, so you can find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. We're also on YouTube. Knicks, Jets, etc. Period. Find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. When we watch a video, hit the like button, hit the, leave a comment, add to the conversation. We want to know your thoughts and opinions. We got new talks on Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks and potential other suitors. Danny Ainge is causing a ruckus. So you know what we got to do? We got to discuss it today, as always. But if you also are on this YouTube page, we got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every single sport possible. NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA. They're doing NCAA football right now. If you need to get prepared, futures, overs, unders, everything around college football. They did the Big Ten, the ACC. Have you guys done the SEC yet? I know you guys
SEC is last. SEC is last. We did the Pac-12 and the Big 12 today.
Ooh.
But dude, week 0 is tomorrow. Like, we're here. Like, you listen to this podcast, we're here, dude. Week 0, we freaking made it, Alex. I'm hyped, dude.
I know John's excited for college football. John lives in the college
football,
world.
Baby. Football,
college professional world.
Back, bro. Football's back.
John's ready to go. You can see it in his face. You can see how happy this guy is. But last and certainly not least.
And the Knicks schedule's out. I mean, we did that last episode. Definitely check that out. But I'm hyped about that too, man. I feel I'm getting all these emails about time changes for preseason games. I mean, we're here, dude. I feel like sports are coming back so fast.
Sports, the dog days of summer are really, they've flown by, man. They really
Speaking
flown
of
by.
dog days, I mean, ESPN posted a Harry Potter stat today. Like Victor Crumb in Quidditch X amount of years ago. I mean, talk about dog days of the summer, but we're here, man.
Talk about reaching. Wow. But last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. John, my guy, you just did what, 1-2 episodes right now of recording, and now you're on your third.
It's a long day, but dude, college football snuck up on us. What are we gonna do? There's a bunch of conferences. We got to get back to it. Albany been mentioned in the last 2 episodes, whether that's because of the transfer or whether that's because they're the first game on Baylor's schedule. I mean,
wow,
things are happening right now.
Things are happening. You always get mentioned. Shout out. We're a proud alumni of SUNY Albany. All right, you got John, myself, video producer Greg. We're all we're Great Danes. All right, we are Great Danes.
Yeah, dude, it's fun, man. I'm really happy about college football. Again, as I mentioned, the Knicks preseason coming right up. I feel like right around the corner. We have rumors everywhere, and the Jets season, dude. I mean, as always, the Jets all season bringing
one more preseason game. One more
bringing massive headlines. This time it's not for fighting the New York Giants in our joint practice. Things are going good. We're all chanting New York together when we leave the huddle. Everything is all harmonious.
What is
beautiful? I mean, cue up the Denzel Mims talks, Ashton Davis talk. We'll get to all that on the Jets episode. But that's how I'm feeling right now, man.
I'm so excited for the Jets. I got a new Jets hat I'm ready to rock on the pod.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. And, talking about preparation, after smacking around the New York Metropolitans, the New York Yankees over here they've been putting some guys in the DL or the IL, right? Sevy, so he can be ready. They put Cortez on so he can be ready. I mean, Everybody's gearing up for October, man. So we here. I know you're pointing.
I got the jacket out, baby. I got the jacket out hanging behind me for the Yankees. All right.
We're here, man. We're here. But you know what all starts? This perpetual circle of hell, and that is Knicks rumors.
It is, man.
Oh,
I mean,
also a quick mention. Last weekend, a couple days ago, the Liberty game. I was at that game. Shout out to them, dude. That was their first home game in a long time. You know, unfortunately, it was at Barclays, but what are you gonna do? They own the team now, but had the privilege to be around like the owners and stuff. Yo, the Nets, like the owner's cool. The whole player, all the players are really cool. Like we hung out, obviously some of them. Man, they have a really good thing going, dude. I'm hyped for them. First, even though the playoff schedule is very dumb, that they the low seed got the game 3 decisive game at home makes no sense. Chicago, coming off champions, being the number 2 seed, they got the game 1 and 2, and then game 3 was at Liberty, the best out of 3 series. Weird stuff. But dude, shout out to Liberty. Just wanted to throw it out there.
This is strange stuff. Shout out to the
WNBA,
Liberty.
baby. Shout
out to the WNBA. Shout out to the New York Liberty. All right, repping New York. All right, very well, making the playoffs. Let's hope the Knicks can do that now for this upcoming season and redeem themselves after a low season. Okay, and the only way, I mean, not the only way, but one of the ways they could do that if they get Donovan Mitchell, which we're back with these trade talks, man. We get Mark Berman coming back off from vacation and doing what he had to do, and on a Saturday, man, this man on Saturday,
he's letting us all know
he
he's
had
back from
Twitter
vacation.
rocking. He had Twitter rocking on a Saturday night, baby. You should be out, hanging out, drinking, do whatever you got to do with your friends. And next thing you know, like that, man drops an article. It's like, oh my God, there's trade talks. It's getting close. And he drops another one on Monday. And it went from, we also got Sham Charania on Monday leaking out what the actual proposal was for the Knicks, right? It was Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, 2 unprotected first-round picks with a total of 4. So that's the Knicks offer. Allegedly. But then you have the return that Danny Ainge wants more than that. That's obviously Danny's trying to swindle everybody. That's not a shocker. And now you're getting, reports from Ian Begley saying that RJ Barrett needs to be included in the deal with one of the other young guys, whether it be Obi, Grimes, Quickly, plus draft picks. And it's unprotected picks because Berman wrote not also on Monday that it comes down to the unprotected picks that Danny Ainge wants. So it's a lot going on, man. I think a deal will get done because on Knicks Fan TV earlier this week, Berman believes a deal will get done. I think this is just posturing by Danny Ainge. You now hear new teams getting into here, like these secret teams, but he keeps promoting that the Wizards and the Hornets are in this deal. Kings come up randomly. Now the Cavs, according to Ian Begley, are in the mix for Donovan Mitchell. It's a lot, man. There's a lot of information just swirling around like right now. Just like typical internet things. You can find anything if you want on the internet. But what do you make of all of this, man? What do you make? We're back to this conversation again. Do you believe Donovan Mitchell is going to be a Knicks soon? I think if it's going to get done, it's going to be in September. All right.
Interesting.
I still think the Lakers are still going to be part of this 3-team deal, even though they just traded for Patrick Beverley. I still think there's more for the Lakers to do because Patrick Beverley alone is not going to reshape that roster. You still got to get off that Russell Westbrook contract. But the Lakers don't want Julius Randle either. So where do you make of all this, man? What do you make of all of this new situation the Knicks are in?
I just want to start off the bat by saying I am completely sick of this crap. I am so sick of Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. I'm so sick of the articles that are coming out about who proposed what and what this person's looking for and trying to figure out which writer is coming from what perspective. And does this mean that Danny Ainge is, doesn't like his deal, but he can't find. I'm done with this crap, dude. It's all nonsense, man. They've been playing us around their little fingers, bro, for straight up, I would say it feels like 2 months at this point. Just like every week, something else. And just like, and we're eating it. Like we're taking the bait and we're going on with it. To be honest with you, at this point, where we're sitting right now, we're still technically in August, right? You said it's going to happen in September.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen until February at this point, because the longer we wait, and by we, I mean the New York Knicks, the higher our assets will become, hopefully. That's being a little optimistic, right? If Grimes is starting, these players are playing, should be good, but we'll see. And on the other hand, I think Utah is going to be so bad, especially if Donovan Mitchell's there. So his stock is going to go low. You know what I mean? We're going to have a disgruntled player. Because right now, I would say one of the most interesting things that came out recently is that Donovan Mitchell does not request a trade officially, but he has preferred trade destinations, which something's fishy there. But what that tells me is he's still cool with the Utah Jazz at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Obviously, he wants to move on, but he's still cool with them. So maybe he could start the season with them. This feels like the season is going to start with Utah and Donovan Mitchell, and obviously with the Knicks and Julius Randle. And that's kind of the elephant in the room here. Because when you talk Obi Toppin, you're indirectly saying you trust Randle. Because you can't get rid of Obi and Randle and live in power forward hell, which is interestingly enough. Bobby Portis just came out. He was talking to one of your cohorts, from Knicks Fan TV, Ashley Moss with Sports Illustrated, and during an interview, he was talking about the Knicks and how that was one of the worst years of his career, and he was joking a little bit, obviously, but he pointed to the fact that they had so many power forwards, and to go from so many power forwards just a couple of years ago to having, to putting us in power forward hell. That just sounds weird for me, right? Then I'm going to start posturing for Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't want to go down that road, okay? So I just want to stay here where we have two power forwards, a starter and a backup, not coming off of the year where we call him or we give him the keys to the franchise, so we're not going to have to play Randle for 40 minutes, and Obi's no longer a rookie. Or he has to earn every 30 seconds. What did you earn? What did you do so you can deserve 30 more seconds? Like, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a little more even. I'm down with that. We have center depth. We have small forward depth. We have shooting guard depth. And we have point guard depth. And we have actual starters to go with that depth, right? Because we always say the worst thing in the world is to actually have to use your depth, right? But in this case, we have the starters. And I think that our guys can fill in the gaps. So a little long-winded here, but what do I think about this whole situation? I just don't care anymore. To be honest with you, I kind of want to see what this Knicks team looks like, because if the trade happens, we're never, ever, 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 forever. We're never going to see. We're never going to see this team. They're never going to be assembled like this. You know what I mean? If they get traded. So I just kind of want to see them play. There's no rush for Donovan Mitchell. There's no rush for him.
And I agree with you. The Knicks, I think at the end of the day, right? Like, I would be happy to see this team start off the way it is, just like you, man. I would love to have Donovan Mitchell on this team. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. But I'm also comfortable going into the season and saying no. At some point, you got to say no, right? You got to be able to walk away from the table.
That's been happening.
And just say, look, if Danny Ainge wants to play games, like, we got the draft picks, draft picks that you want. Now you're trying to say RJ Barrett. Now you're trying to put pressure on the Knicks and say, oh, if nothing happens, it's just like an utter collapse and trying to make it look that way. Walk away from the table and feel confident walking away from the table. The Knicks should feel confident not having to engage with Danny Ainge with these nonsensical trade rumors anymore and say, if you really want to do this deal, let's do this deal. All right, let's actually sit down. Let's think about what's equitable for both of us and move along. But Danny Ainge is, because he can't be that guy not known as winning every single trade in his life. He's trying to, manhandle the Knicks, and it's not working right now. Shout out to Leon Rose in the front office for, sticking to their guns and not wavering. But they should also be comfortable going into the season with this lineup because, like you, I want to see what Grimes looks like, man. I want to see Grimes in the starting rotation. I want to see what Quickly looks like with more playing time. I want to see what, Obi Toppin is now that we're not having to rely on Julius Randle, hopefully, for over 38 minutes per game. Like, give Obi some run. And to your point, if they actually do start to play well, you don't have to trade all of them, plus all the draft picks, to go get Donovan Mitchell if it comes down to February. Because let's look at this from the Jazz standpoint, right? You just traded Patrick Beverley. All right. If you can, Patrick Beverley, even though I think Mike Conley is a better point guard than Pat Bev, like efficiency wise and player wise, like you just traded a good player away to the Lakers for THT. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like that. That's not saying that you're looking to win this season. That's saying you're trying to strip it all down.
Bro. Shout out Stanley Johnson.
Yeah,
getting the under in this podcast today.
Stanley Johnson, THT, like it's all you're getting out of this deal. And for Pat Bev, but that's telling me that you're not serious going into the season. If you wanted to compete, you would have kept Pat Bev and figured it out, right? So now you're moving off that. You traded Rudy Gobert. What?
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, it's obviously the Jazz, or as you say, the Yaz, are not trying to be competitive this season. Everyone around here knows that. Everyone around here knows that. I don't think any other team is engaged with Donovan Mitchell because the way he's just, publicized himself being in New York this entire summer. He's at every single event almost. Hang out with Quickly, going to Rangers games, going to Mets games, going to Cyclones games, going to clubs, being at weddings, just showing that he's in New York, everywhere around New York, being with his family, everything. I think if you're a team and you're like, why would I have to meet Danny Ainge's expectations and assets to get a guy who may, at the end of his contract, who will be a free agent, go to New York? Or worst case scenario, request and demand a trade to New York, lowering his draft stock, and then we would not be able to recoup that value. So I think people around the league know that. I think people understand that it's going to be New York at some point, unless New York is like, look, we're just not going to do this anymore, and they completely walk away. But
that would never happen. They would never fully close the door because who knows how the season is going to start. And
right.
I honestly think one of the most interesting teams that came up recently are the Cavs. They have a jam at guard. Donovan Mitchell would be fantastic on that team.
Oh, 100%.
That's a perfect fit. And
do you think that's championship contending?
Yeah, because the East is not that amazing in my opinion. I'm not scared of Philly. I know they're good. I'm not scared of them. I'm not scared of Boston. I know they're good. The only team I'm really scared of is Milwaukee. Miami's cool. I know they're good. I'm not scared of them. The big powerhouse is Milwaukee, but Donovan Mitchell could change that if he goes to the Cavs or if he goes to Toronto. I know that's been getting brought up. If Toronto is able to keep Van Fleet and Scotty Barnes, and somehow trade Spicy P and a bunch of stuff, like just, centered around him, a legitimate player. I mean, Toronto would, jump up on the charts. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm scared of, right? I won't even mention Brooklyn because they could be really good. This is the best team that KD's ever had on Brooklyn, but that's neither here nor there. Like, they're going to be legit. So I think the East is harder than the West, to be honest with you. And I think it's deeper than the West for the first time in a long time. I think the tables have officially turned. I'm scared of those teams, but a team that I think could actually help us here, and I think a team that will come into play, especially if we go into the season, because this is a team that they might know what they have on paper, but I don't think they realize how bad it's going to be when they actually start playing games and they get into the depth of the season. That's the Charlotte Hornets, man. I have no idea what they're going to do. They have no big men. They have no power forwards, dude. Julius Randle to the Hornets might be an actual savior. I don't think they think that right now. But I do think when the season starts, they're going to be like, wow, having Julius Randle on this team would actually change everything for us. It would change our entire season. So when you talk about the Lakers, I know they want Cam Reddish, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to sneak themselves in here. I do think the Hornets are. And I think that they're going to play a role in sending a pick somewhere, somehow to Utah, and we'll send them Randle. And somehow, some way, Randle will, net us a first-round pick. That's where my hopes are here, where the Hornets are desperate, somebody under contract, a good contract when because they're looking towards the CBA where players, Windhorst said on his podcast, players can be making up to $70 million. 70. That's what the CBA looks like. And that sounds crazy
annually?
Right now. Yeah, that's what he said. That's the max. Yeah, he said that's what the super max could be. So that's what Windhorst said. I mean, that, and he compared it to those off seasons where that happened and the floor was so high, and then people had to start paying Cole Aldridge $30 million. Joakim Noah $72 million.
Timothy Mozgov.
Timothy Mozgov. And he's comparing that. So when you talk about somebody like Julius Randle, he's going to be for free. Somebody that's locked into their contract, and in that year, that's going to be an amazing asset. So obviously, he would be really good on the Hornets with LaMelo. I don't know. That's just something that's been on my mind a little bit, talking about third teams to get in here. Because if I'm believing the reports that are coming out here that we're talking about, Alex, we're not if they want something, we're not willing to give it. Something's got to give. You know what I mean? And if we're not going to give them all their picks, and we all want to give them two, and we find the Hornets, and they don't, because they might use Randle and Utah doesn't, I feel like some way we could finagle this. But then we start talking about how RJ Barrett, like I'm getting text messages this morning about, oh my goodness, are we going to trade RJ? I'll go crazy.
Would you trade RJ for Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, if it's straight up, of course, right? If it's straight up RJ for Donovan Mitchell, of course. But now you're adding first-round picks to RJ Barrett to get rid of him. That sounds awful to me. I would rather get rid of Grimes, take Grimes, take Fournier, take Derrick Rose for salary, whatever you need, take some picks, and leave us alone, right? If I have to do Obi, fine. But Alex, I have a question for you. How can you discern the reports by the same guys, the same credible guys that have been saying this whole time and fed it into our brains that Utah does not want RJ Barrett because they do not want to pay him? Now, all of a sudden, Utah wants RJ Barrett, and it's not even enough that we give it to him. Like, how do you discern that? It's the same people saying the same thing. So that's why I said they're like playing us on their thumbs. Like, dude, I feel like an idiot now. And at this point, I feel like an idiot, like eating up everything that they're giving us. You know what I mean?
I hear you. And I don't believe that they want RJ Barrett. I don't see any way possible that Utah would want to take on RJ in a contract year, pay him money, whether it be the max or not. You're still going to have to pay him. And if you don't pay him, he doesn't have to accept the offer. He can still enter restricted free agency. Right? So why would you even want to do that if you're the Utah Jazz? They're not even ready to start competing. It just doesn't make sense that they want RJ. I think this is just Danny Ainge trying to cause chaos more than anything else.
Okay, but if you're Utah, how about this? Like, I'll give you the RJ argument here. You want a young player who's going to have a high usage rate.
Sure.
You get to sign him for cheap, like we mentioned, according to the CBA. You extend him for a long time, and you get to build around him, and there's zero expectations.
I guess the question is, right, do you think RJ would help win enough that you're not a lottery team anymore?
You're definitely going to be in the lottery. Definitely going to be in the lottery. So that's a plus for him. We've seen RJ play on lottery teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's a positive.
I guess
have RJ, you have Jordan Clarkson, Bogey. I mean, this doesn't really necessarily scream playoffs. This is a lottery team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess yes, I could see it being a lottery team. I guess my question is better. Like, I don't know the final construction of this team, right? I don't know the final construction of the Utah Jazz. If it's like Utah with RJ and, a bunch of scrubs, then yes, it's obviously a lottery team. But
any Knicks trade makes them a lottery team. Any Knicks trade is going to make them a lottery team, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, unless they take the entire team, but I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Like, any trade that they make with the New York Knicks, like, they are headed towards to Cancun. Like, they're not making the playoffs.
I'm just wondering if that you get, because you look at the West, right? Do you think the West is losing talent where it's going to be a little bit more open? Or do you think the West is still stacked as it is where, it's pretty much the same 8 they're expecting night in and night out? Because if it's open, there's that concern as like a team that if you get RJ, in my opinion, not saying that RJ will just by himself, but maybe you make a play and maybe you start to shock somebody that you don't even think of. Do you think do you think that's a possibility?
I think the bottom 6 teams in the West are set.
Okay.
Houston, OKC, Blazers, Kings, Spurs, and Jazz. Those are the worst 6 teams, and nobody's gonna there's no chance anyone is gonna be worse than them, which puts one of them technically in the play-in, right? Because that's 6. So we'll see which one can emerge. Hopefully the Blazers or something, because that'd be fun. Out of respect to Dame, I'll take him out, of the bottom 5. But yeah, Utah's in the bottom 5, man.
Okay.
If they make a trade with the New York Knicks.
So then it makes sense that Utah would want RJ then. I could see that then. But so then
it makes sense.
So then do you believe you believe the reports that they didn't want RJ were false then? Do you think it's changed? Do you think it's changed because Danny Ainge is realizing he can't get all the picks, and now he's like, "Look, man, I need RJ and picks. If you're not going to give me all the picks I want."
That's fair. I think that's fair, and I'm telling you, if I'm Utah, I want RJ. I don't want Quentin Grimes. Like, I'll take RJ and Grimes. I'll take RJ and Obi. But dude, here's the thing about Obi. I've been mentioning it for weeks now. It feels like months. What the hell is Utah going to do with an old rookie like Obi Toppin, who's been on a losing team his entire life, and he's going to be on more losing teams with Utah, and he's not going to re-sign in freaking Utah? You know what I mean? He's just not. Yeah. To me, Obi doesn't make any sense. To me, RJ, if I'm Utah, RJ makes the most sense. And like you said, if it's a way for them to backdoor fulfill the value chart for whether it's for Ainge's ego, whether it's to go to his, owner and be like, yo, this is what I'm getting. Don't worry about it, or it's for the fans. Like, RJ and 2 picks is way better than Grimes and Obi, Fournier, and like 2 protected picks or whatever. Like, 2 Knicks protected top 3 or whatever, and like a couple of protected from other teams. I would way rather have RJ. And that's speaking as a Knicks fan, right? I mean, recently, not to pivot too much to baseball, but or football, but like you get a feeling when a team does something, right? It's like when they're taking the starting pitcher out, you're like, oh, you feel relief, like thank God, as the other team. But you don't want that. You know what I mean? Like if you're the Yankees, like, oh, I don't want to make a move that the other team is happy about. Or, in football, when you're like going into like a screen formation, you're like, okay, great, go ahead, run it. Like, oh, if the other team wants it, I don't want to do that. And that's kind of how I feel about, where the Utah Jazz are at. If the other team, like, it's like, no way, I'm not trading RJ, he's untouchable. I'm like, okay, I want RJ. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, like he's untouchable. You guys are so cool with giving me all these other guys. Give me RJ Barrett. That's what I want for Donovan Mitchell. Superstar.
I think that's why, and that's why I think, when I think of it, I think it's more of that than Utah actually wanting RJ. Yeah. I think it's more like Ainge is like, they seem pretty comfortable with this. Ainge, and this is where like I just come back to, Ainge has to win a trade, and it's like, what's perceived value? He's looking at like Knicks fans. He's looking at the front office. RJ's untouchable, right? Or it's like most of the front office wants to keep RJ, and you hear like the wavering that some in the front office aren't as sold on RJ being this all-star that others are in the front office. And I think he's reading the room saying, these guys are going to be comfortable giving me Obi, Grimes, picks, Fournier, and whatnot. Not all the picks, but a good amount of picks I'd be happy with, even though I want more. He's probably like, look, I'm going to ask for 8. I'll probably end up getting 4 or 5, and I'll be happy with that.
Absurd number I've ever heard.
No, yeah, it is. But like, that's probably how his brain is thinking, right? It's like, I'm going to ask for 8. I'm probably going to end up with 4 or 5. Maybe I'll get 2, 3 unprotected. Maybe the last one will be like top 5 protected, whatever, of the unprotected picks. But
I'll take a top 4.
Yeah, but it's like to him, it's like it still feels too comfortable for them to do it. Yeah. What's really going to hit them to make me look like I'm going to win this trade? I want RJ Barrett plus all of that, and that's what makes him look like the winner if he gets that. And that's where if I'm the Knicks, I'm like, all right, now you're just playing a game with me. Yeah, because you don't actually value the guys the way that we value them. You're just looking for the image. Because look, Danny Ainge is that guy that's like here today, gone tomorrow. If he can flip RJ for something else for even greater, he'll do it.
But listen, RJ's definitely on the table, man. That's why the extension hasn't been signed. He's on the table. It's not a done deal that he's not. If it was a completely done deal that he wasn't, they would just re-sign him.
As a fan, would you be upset if we traded RJ Barrett and didn't have that like a first round pick that we haven't extended in a million years? Obviously, Charlie Ward, but it feels like a million years.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to use that stat for Mitchell Robinson and just took out the first round part and just said any rookie, right?
Yeah.
To maybe get over that. But yeah, dude, it would suck. It would really suck not extending our rookie, man, especially because he has potential to be the best rookie in that whole draft. Still. Like especially from the top 3 guys, like it was John Moran, Zion, and RJ. We got the bronze trophy. In my opinion, he still could be the gold trophy here. And that's really, dude, if he gets traded, he's going to be one of the best players in the league. And that is a fact. That is an absolute fact that I cannot get over. So I don't think RJ Barrett's the best player ever. I really don't.
Yeah, of course.
I would not be shocked if he never makes an All-Star game. Or maybe like later on in his career. Like maybe in the next 3 years, if he doesn't make an All-Star game, that's perfectly fine for me. I think that's, I do think he can make an All-NBA team. Like a second or third, somehow sneak in if he has like a crazy year, even if he's not an all-star. But dude, all that matters for RJ Barrett is to win basketball games in New York. And that's the perfect place for him. He's not an individual guy. We see what he does with Houston trades. We see how, he finishes at the rim. We see that he gets in streaky times in the season. Sometimes he's really good, unstoppable, like dropping 30 points a game. And then sometimes he's like, dude, the guy can't hit a layup. Like, what's happening right now? So he's not in a good situation if he's like trying to be some sort of star. If he's like, yo, Star J is not a good look. Like, here's the ball, fill up the stat sheet and win us games and make your teammates better. That's not a fit for him. He needs to fit on a team that plays team defense, has an actual point guard, and relies on him in not only to set up the offense and space, but honestly to bail them out. Like if there's like 5 seconds left on the shot clock, give it to RJ. He'll cook it. You know what I mean? Like get him the ball and he'll cook it. Like that's where RJ comes into play, man. And so I think he's a perfect fit on the Knicks. So that's what's going to really frustrate me. Is not only is he going to turn into an all-star if he leaves the Knicks, but he's a perfect fit with us, man. And that's why I'm kind of annoyed about the whole power forward situation.
So
like, I think Obi's a perfect fit.
I think so too. I mean, he's so good off ball, man.
Randall, like it's annoying. Like and then we're going to be looking to replace him with him. You know what I mean? Like we're going to be looking to replace RJ Barrett with ... RJ Barrett, a defensive small forward, who can get to the bucket. Like that's what's going to drive me nuts.
You know what also drove me nuts? What drove me nuts is hearing that, and I know it's not true. It's hearing that Tom Thibodeau preferred Grimes over RJ, which is hilarious. That was in Berman's article saying that he loves Grimes, and it was written in a way where you could see that it was thought that Tibbs would want Grimes over RJ And when I read that, I was like, that's just not true. I mean, if that was true, he would have
started
literally
Grimes
played Grimes over RJ last season.
or
And
Fournier.
yeah. And who got like 40 plus minutes 2 seasons ago? Who's got 30 plus minutes last season? RJ. He loves RJ. I just read that. I'm like, okay, that's a stretch.
Yeah,
That's a complete
it makes no sense, dude. And so let me ask you this: what makes less sense at this point? Trading RJ for Donovan Mitchell or trading for SGA, which is a new rumor now that Chet Holmgren got hurt?
Oh my God. Oh man. I like both of them. It's just I would probably go Mitchell over SGA. Like I like SGA, but I then look at like we just signed Brunson. So what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I mean Brunson played with
this is not saying like
Luka.
Yeah, for sure. But this is also not saying like SGA couldn't play too. Like he did that next to Chris Paul and whatnot. I don't know, man. It's such honestly, those two are such a toss-up for me because both of them just bring a different dimension in their game. Like either one
definitely
is
a Tibbs guy.
Oh yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, maybe not a Tibbs guy.
I think he is.
Obviously, in the ISO on offense, like that's
for sure.
That's Tibbs' life. But the defense is going to be tough. Like being a little honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was SGA, I'd probably want to out of OKC be like, look, man, I want to win.
I'm gonna tell you another thing that's tough. Brunson, Mitchell. I don't even know who you're putting in now. Cam Reddish.
Oh yeah, if you got rid of RJ, dude, Cam Reddish gets the bump.
Dude, that's bad. I'm telling you right now, that's bad. I know it sounds nice.
Watch out for the Cam hype, man.
I know. It sounds nice. Oh, it sounds good. Cam Reddish is gonna be a stud. Then you got Mitchell, and dude, that would be so bad. We'd have no depth. We'd have no defense. And I'm telling you, that would be really bad. And whether it's Randall or Obi, just bad news. Like that team is winning 25 to 30 games. So that's my issue. I don't even think, forget championship contender. I don't even think we're a playoff team. Like I think we're a play-in.
I think we're a 7. I think you're on a cusp of a playoff team.
Yeah, we're a 7 seed at the best, and that's with trading all your draft picks and your star, and your number 3 pick from a couple of years ago. And you're not even going to be a top.
It's square one all over again as the Knicks.
Actually, honestly, no assets and bad books.
Honestly, this trade, the way that the trade talks for Donovan Mitchell, it is worse than the Melo trade. It's absolutely worse.
Now, yeah,
it's worse.
Yeah.
Like looking hindsight, when you look at the Melo's trade, it was bad because the Knicks didn't have many assets, and we gave up more assets when we didn't have enough. This is just an overspend if you go out for Donovan Mitchell. You know what I mean? Like we gave up 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders plus 4 players in that Melo trade. I think that's what it was. Like when you look at what the Knicks had prior to that trade, it's like, guys, we really can't empty the bank right now because we'll have nothing else. Here, it's like, all right, now we're just emptying the bank because we have too much.
Yeah,
and it makes absolutely no sense. It make absolutely no sense to do so. I'm with you, man. I just want to see if it's going to be this ridiculous of trade talks to start the season. I want to see what this team looks like. I'm actually very curious.
Yeah, I want them to play like this. I definitely want them to play.
I'm really curious, and I think other Knicks fans should not be desperate for Donovan Mitchell. I think they should also be curious and embrace, a rebuilding team. I know there's a winning aspect that has to come into it, and if you're Tom Thibodeau, you got pressure. This is your 3rd season. You gotta make the play-in, and you gotta probably make the playoffs, even as an 8 seed with this roster. But I still think that would be more fun, especially to see how everyone else plays. Considering how you would have, if you got Donovan Mitchell, you have RJ, Randall, and Jalen. It's a lot of guys who need the ball in their hands. Yeah. It's a lot.
I'm hyped about Brunson, Mitchell, and RJ, though. I think that's fire.
Yeah.
Because they make up on defense. I think they kind of complement each other well. I know it sounds crazy.
Put Grimes in that starting rotation with Brunson. Oh man,
is the thing. Yeah, I mean, I would rather Grimes off the bench would be fire. IQ Grimes off the bench with Obi is insane.
You know it's Derrick Rose and IQ off the bench. That's just not changing.
I forgot about D Rose.
Yeah.
He's playing in Africa right now. We'll see if D Rose.
He's doing D Rose things, man. He's living life.
We'll see if D Rose is a Knick. I'm skeptical a little bit. Well, that's neither here nor there.
Well,
Tips his ass on the line if he plays D Rose over IQ. He literally not even he's going to be questioned about that, and I don't know if he wants to be.
I don't think he's going to play D Rose over IQ. I think we're going to see that bench. The ideal bench is Rose, IQ, Fournier, Toppin, Hartenstein.
Fournier has to go.
If there's no trade, I'm saying if there's no trade, if there's no trade, that's how I'd like to see it.
Oh yeah, if there's no trade, Grimes definitely starter.
Yeah. That's why I said Grimes should be a starter. If we're talking like no trade, I need it.
I agree with that.
I need that. But hey, man, I think that covers it for this Knicks episode. That's all we got for the updates on the Mitchell trade. Pretty quiet otherwise, but it's what the NBA is all about right now. Unless you're talking about KD. I mean, actually, that's before we go. I know you gotta be clapping your hands for Joe's side because he's like, look, man.
I've been calling it. You
have been. You have been.
Man, dude. He's killing it. He's a freaking vice president of Alibaba. He does not give a damn about a $30 million contract with a couple players. He's just like, all right, bro. Like, I'm not gonna just tear up and throw this contract away because you're upset. We just signed you. Your extension didn't even start yet. What are we talking about? I don't understand. I'm so glad that he wasn't able to get pushed over here. I do think it's the last year for this coaching staff, though. Nash and the new assistants. He was able to pick his new assistants. This is the last year for them if they don't come together. I think Kyrie's going to be re-signed in Brooklyn. I think it's going to be KD and Kyrie for a while. I'm curious about the Ben Simmons situation, to be honest with you. That's the most interesting situation about the Nets going into this year. They have him slotted in at power forward. Good luck with that, dude. I don't know what you do with Ben Simmons at power forward. He looks like the most awkward power forward. I can just see him being the most awkward power forward in history. So I don't know what you're going to do with that.
I have no idea. The Nets team is
that's
just
a trade. Weird. That's a trade that might come down the pipeline here.
I mean, did you hear? I was listening to the Ringer podcast. I think
he wants to go to LA, and he's clutch, right?
He is with clutch. I was listening to the Ringer podcast. I think it was Big Waz and oh my God, what's his name? Rob Mahoney. And apparently, this is not me saying. Apparently, the guys on the Nets asked Ben Simmons if he was going to be playing because there was rumors he could potentially come back, right? During the playoffs.
Oh, this is a Rick Bucher report that got debunked by KD. Yeah,
that he left the group chat.
That was Rick Bucher on first thing on one of the FS1 shows. He brought that up, and then KD tweeted. That's after that came out. He was like, "You guys don't believe anything. The media is nonsense." Something to that effect.
That's funny. I wouldn't be surprised though.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised, but dude, how goofy do you have to be to the game before dressing up in that green outfit coming out?
I'm saying I would be surprised. Like you show up to the game like that
and catching layups. You did the layup lines, like the rebounds. That's what I do for my for my CYO college team that I coach. I get the rebounds for their layup lines.
He gave like a nonchalant. Like, I don't care that I'm here. So I would not be surprised, bro. I think like sometimes I wonder if Katie's just like covering up so that it doesn't seem like the Brooklyn Nets are just this total like abomination of a franchise right now.
Yeah. I think they have the best team that since KD's gotten there. I don't even think they're abomination. I think they're fine.
I'm talking about organizationally, like trying to get everything, like you're coaching, trying to keep everyone around, like not everyone's showing up. You know,
to be honest with you, I think the most annoying thing is that the fans don't hold them accountable. I'll be honest with you. Nets fans are the reason this happens because this would never fly in the Garden.
Oh hell no! If Katie did this, requested a trade, like yo, get out.
And you know what I'm saying? And this is why the Nets stink. is because Nets fans don't. I've been saying it for a couple of years, honestly, and I've been holding my Nets, my fans that are my friends that are Nets fans. I've been holding them accountable because first of all, they avoid any controversy that comes up. They don't want to talk about it. They get all upset. They do the whataboutisms. What about you? What about? I'm just like, yo, dude, I'm asking you. Like, your player's asking for a trade. How do you feel? Your player is not playing this whole season. How do you feel? Like, Ben Simmons not playing. How do you feel? You know, and then they just get all mad. Oh, well, the Knicks suck.
Andre Drummond was your starting center over Jared Allen, who is now an NBA All-Star. How do you feel?
Yeah, like, you know.
You
like,
traded him, too, to give DeAndre Jordan his money so that KD and everybody could be happy.
How do you not hold KD accountable for that? You know what I mean? And now the only thing that they started doing is now they're talking a little bit of smack about Steve Nash. Okay. Like, great. Like, your star player, you know, kind of threw a tantrum, did some weird stuff this offseason, has to be traded all because of the head coach, and now you guys agree. Okay. Like, at what point are you guys going to be like, yo, we have to win, we have to make it out of the second round before, you know? So I think the Nets are fine. I think it's the best team they've had. I think they're gonna have to deal with Ben Simmons. I'm curious as if he's gonna get traded. Obviously, his stock is so low right now that you can't even trade him. I don't know. He is clutch. Do you bring Westbrook back here? I don't know. That's a funny situation brewing.
Westbrook, Kyrie, and KD would be a hilarious sight. You know
bad.
what? And that's Nets slander is a good place to always end on this podcast.
Nets fan slander. I'm fine with the Nets. I promise you, I'm fine with them. Nets fans, though, Nets fans are whack. And can I give you a short story here? Because you know, if you're all the way at the end here, that's whatever.
If you're all the way at the end listening to this, God bless.
You deserve this story.
You.
Yeah,
yes,
you deserve this story. So I had a little bit of like I had like VIP access to the Liberty game. So I was going to the side. I had to like get wristbands or whatever. So they have a little table, and I was wearing. I can wear it next episode. Had like a hood. Had like a WNBA hoodie, the black one that's like outlined. I don't know. It's the woman is black, like in all black. But like the two strings are orange. Okay, because you know how like the WNBA has like the whole orange thing.
Yep.
But this is like all black, but the strings are orange, right? So I was cool with that.
Fire.
So that's what I wore. And then just nonchalantly, right? I'm like, you know, my friends text me like, "Don't say anything about the Knicks." I'm like, "Bro, I'm here for Liberty. Like, you know, I don't care about the Knicks and Nets right now. Like, we're chilling." No joke, Alex. The guy, I'm like talking to the lady, like, "Oh, you know, getting my envelope, whatever." The guy's like, "Whoa, are those Knicks colors?" I was like, I had no idea. I was like looking around, like he's like, "No, you wearing a Knicks hoodie?" I was like, my dude. Like, it's literally a WNBA hoodie. He's like, "Oh, the orange. I was like, yo, take it easy, man. I was like, we had good news today. I was like, KD's staying. Like, Liberty game 3. Like, just calm down, bro. Like, just
You worried about the Knicks?
He's like, where Knicks go? I was like, bro, God. It was so funny. Like, everyone was like, all his like coworkers laughing at him and stuff. I saw him after the game, because like, you know, by like down there, I was like, "What up, man?" He's like, "Yo, I appreciate you coming on." So it was just so funny. I was like, guys, what is this? Like, I'm not trolling you guys. You know who I am. Like, there's nothing about me. It says Knicks. They don't know me. It was just, I thought that was hilarious. It's like, I walk into Barclays, they have an orange string, and it triggered them. Yeah, bro. I was like, yo, we're here for Liberty, dude.
Look,
like,
man, when you're second
blue?
fiddle in the greatest city in the world, I can see why you have some imposter syndrome and whatnot. But it's all good.
I do miss Liberty being in the Garden, though. I'll be honest about that. Shout out to Isaiah Thomas for ruining all of that. Thanks, bro.
Man.
What a loser. I hate Isaiah Thomas. It's a random fact of the day.
And on that note, thank you all for tuning in for the next episode of the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. You all know what to do. Please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. You can also find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. We also got a YouTube page, so make sure to go over there, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And also hit the like button.
Thumbs up for your boys.
Yeah, man. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment. Check out Winning Picks Weekly with John, video producer Greg, and our guy, co-host Chip Murphy. If you love sports betting, And make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for the Knicks episode. We out.
Let's go Knicks.